It's the third year with Oliver. I thought he was about to propose to me, but I heard him talking to another woman. She was just interesting to me because of the rose on her waist. That's what piqued my interest in her. After the breakup, I joined a dating reality show. Unexpectedly, he and my childhood friend were also on the show. I deliberately ignored their frequent interactions. Later, Oliver said, "The rose on your waist symbolizes the beginning between us. Isn't it a symbol that arouses your desires?" Oliver thought that the rose tattoo on his waist would make me remember him forever. But what really made me remember were the scars that had already vanished. In the makeup room, I heard the manager, Aunt Emma, suddenly tell the makeup artist to stop. I opened my eyes wide, staring at Aunt Emma in surprise. My heart was filled with doubt. Why did it suddenly stop? Aunt Emma hesitated for a moment, let out a sigh. Mr. Johnson gave the spot to the newcomer. "Sophia, she wants it. It's just a small event. Perhaps someone put in a good word for Mr. Johnson. That's why he gave it to her." Aunt Emma left after bringing me back to the apartment. I know Sophia. She had a brief flirtation with Oliver before we got together. Then she went abroad. Now she's back. I thought about it for a long time at home. I decided to ask for clarification. I went to the booth that Oliver often visits. Just as I was about to push the door open, I heard Sophia's voice. "Oliver, Emily shouldn't be angry, right? She only piqued my interest because of the rose on her waist. What reason would she have to be angry?" Oliver just finished speaking. One of his friends in the booth mocked me. "That's right. Emily is just an ordinary girl. Emily is just an ordinary girl. What does she have to be angry about? If Oliver doesn't like her anymore, I could break up with her at any time." Oliver completely brushed off this comment. He didn't help me at all. Instead, he let out a cold laugh in the end, amidst everyone's laughter in the private room. Sophia and Oliver even kissed. I panicked and ran away. I tried to pretend I didn't see anything, but Sophia seemed to be well prepared. She sent a recording to my email. The content was what they said that day. After that, I ran into Oliver and Sophia kissing again. Sophia saw me. She deliberately asked Oliver, "What's the difference between me and her? Kissing you feels different than kissing Emily. Is there something different about it?" Emily acts like a block of wood, even though she's an actress. She has no passion when kissing. Oliver's answer completely met Sophia's expectations. After hearing Oliver's words, I realized how ridiculous my concession was. This time, I took a picture of him kissing someone else. After I sent him the photo, I immediately blocked him. Then, I messaged Aunt Emma to arrange for the dating variety show we previously wanted to decline. She asked me for the reason. I sent her that photo. Aunt Emma clearly guessed that the person kissing Oliver was Sophia. She immediately contacted the director of the dating show. Once the dating show was confirmed, I told Aunt Emma I needed to take a few days off. I went to the welfare home to spend a few days with the kids. I didn't return until the day of the dating show recording. I'll finish what I was saying later. You must stay calm. Aunt Emma, what's wrong with you? Aunt Emma told me. Sophia and Oliver are also participating in this dating show. She said, "The male guests on this show don't necessarily have to be from the entertainment industry." Oliver signed up voluntarily. This variety show is similar to other dating shows currently airing. Everyone has to live together in a villa for half a month. The difference is, in addition to the formal broadcast, there will also be a live stream. When I arrived at the villa, Sophia and Oliver were already there. Also Lily and Daniel. I didn't see anyone else. I wonder who the last male guest will be. "Emily, it's been a long time since I last saw you." Lily saw me and happily ran over to hug me. A year ago, I acted in a play with her. We even exchanged contact information. Our relationship has always been good. She and Daniel came to participate in this dating show. Actually, it was to announce their relationship in advance. We chatted for a while. Suddenly, I heard some noise at the door. At this point, the live broadcast effect had reached its peak. Everyone was guessing who the last guest would be when he walked in. I truly didn't expect it to be him. The man who walked in is a friend I grew up with. He is also my older brother by a year in name, Ethan, the current president of Johnson Group. I stood up in surprise. Ethan saw me. He smiled at me. The online viewers noticed this action. They felt something was off. Oh dear. Why do I feel like the atmosphere between them is a bit strange? It seems quite interesting. Emily recognized this person at a glance. Their eyes immediately met. I didn't expect Ethan to participate in this dating show recording. After all, he's usually extremely busy. Once everyone had arrived, the show officially started. The director asked us to introduce ourselves first. Actually, only Ethan needed a formal introduction, because we have no privacy on the internet anymore. No need for further introductions. Oliver is the same. Everyone is familiar with him as well. It's just that my relationship with him has never been made public. Ethan is the current president of Johnson Group. Ethan's introduction had almost no content. Even if the online viewers wanted to dig deeper, there was nothing to find. There is very little information about him online. After the introduction was over, the director arranged for us to play a few interactive games. Once the atmosphere was set, we then began to choose people we liked to form teams. Next, we need to complete tasks together. I internally assumed that I would be in a team with Ethan. Sophia is teamed up with Oliver. Lily is teamed up with Daniel. But unexpectedly, Oliver also chose me. When the news was announced, Sophia was obviously stunned. Although I only saw her profile, her shock was evident. A couple of days ago, Oliver and Sophia were quietly showing off their love on Weibo. How did it suddenly change? Wow, it seems like there's some gossip. I find it a bit interesting. From the beginning, I felt the atmosphere between Emily and Oliver was off. Could Oliver be someone who easily changes his mind? Likes one person after meeting another. The director didn't expect that. He asked me who I would choose. I chose Ethan. Later, the director gave us 200 yuan per pair and let us buy our own groceries, responsible for our own 3 meals a day. 4 days later, whoever has the most money left, next time we'll be able to get more living expenses. I finally understand why the director took our money and phones at the beginning. When I went out to buy groceries with Ethan, he casually turned off our microphones. He asked me, "What are you doing here? Grandpa sent me here. You probably don't know yet. Grandpa heard that you broke up with Oliver. He was just trying to get us back together." Ethan's words surprised me. "You can't be serious." Ethan gently patted my head. "I'm really not joking. You can ask Grandpa about it when you go back." I asked him why he didn't argue back with Grandpa. He said there was no need. I feel like he meant something by that. It's like he was reminding me of something. I hadn't noticed that our microphone incident had trended online. There were even requests for lip readers to interpret what we were saying. Later, the director came over to tell us about it. It also specifically reminds us that we can't turn off the mic again. Going out once has already cost over 30 yuan. I know Ethan can cook for our safety. I've decided not to cook. I'm afraid my cooking will send us both to the hospital later, while Ethan is cooking. Sophia and Oliver just happened to come back. "Emily, you're letting a man into the kitchen. You're really something." I know what Sophia was trying to say. She just wants to say I'm useless. What's wrong with a man cooking? Are you still living in the old society, thinking that men in the kitchen are not ambitious? Sophia's words were inherently ambiguous. It sounds like she is a great cook. In fact, the food they bought was also ready-made. She just feels embarrassed because Oliver chose me before. It made her feel ashamed. Now she's intentionally picking on me. After dinner, I did some calculations. It feels like 200 yuan might not last 4 days. The director definitely meant more than just giving us 200 bucks. We still need to find part-time jobs to earn money over these 4 days. Stop calling me stupid all the time. Otherwise, I really might become stupid. Ethan saw me pouting. He immediately apologized to me and said he would find a way to solve the money issue. He's so smart. He'll definitely come up with a way to make money. I think I heard Emily use the word stupid. When Ethan said stupid, it sounded quite gentle. Could these two have been childhood friends? They seem to have a really close relationship. I hadn't been resting in my room for long when I heard someone knocking on the door. At first, I thought I heard wrong, but the knocking didn't stop. I thought it was Ethan coming, so I yawned with my eyes closed and went to open the door. I was so sleepy that I almost fell asleep. "What do you want again?" I didn't wait for Ethan to speak. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my chin. At that moment, I realized something was off. Who is knocking at the door again? Who does Emily think it might be? I was momentarily stunned. What is Oliver doing? Does he have some sort of problem? He kissed Sophia himself, and he even went on a dating show with her. Now he acts as if he can't forget about me. I reminded him not to act recklessly. There are cameras everywhere here. Emily asked me, "Why did I join this dating reality show? We have already broken up." Why can't I answer the phone? But Oliver said he doesn't remember when we broke up. I'm truly speechless. Then why did I send him that photo? We were at a standstill for a while. When he left, he even reminded me to behave. Behave. This is really absurd. I even doubt that the boy I saved back then was actually Oliver. Otherwise, How could the difference be so great? Oliver just left. Sophia suddenly appeared. She slapped me. Emily was suddenly hit. She was completely stunned. Someone shouted at her, "Emily, how can you be so shameless? Oliver has already broken up with you, yet you still cling to him. Two people with abnormal behavior. One cannot recognize reality. The other has delusional symptoms. I can't just be hit for no reason." So I slapped Sophia without hesitation. Sophia's eyes widened. She said in surprise, "You actually dared to hit me. Why wouldn't I dare? Who do you think you are? Don't treat your unreasonable actions as normal behavior. If you have the ability, keep Oliver by your side. Don't cause trouble here with me." After saying that, I closed the door. I felt very uncomfortable inside. I was sleeping soundly, but was disturbed like this. When I went downstairs for breakfast, my face was still a bit swollen. Ethan noticed. He asked me, "What's wrong with your face?" "It's nothing. Last night I encountered an unreasonable guy, and I mouthed the words he hit me 3 times. Ethan probably guessed who did it. Make me a boiled egg. I'll use it to apply on my face. Additionally, I need to go out for a bit this morning. You should rest well in the villa." I nodded in agreement. After saying goodbye to me, Ethan left. While I was applying the mask, Lily came downstairs. She yawned, then she greeted me. Next, she brewed a cup of black coffee and sat at the dining table. "Emily, where did Ethan go?" I told her Ethan went out to work. Lily was a bit surprised. She didn't understand why Ethan had to go out to work. I told Lily Ethan's guess. She immediately ran upstairs to knock on Daniel's door. Not long after, they both left the villa. I returned to my room after finishing breakfast. Worried about running into those 2 annoying people again, I stayed in the room for an hour, felt it was too boring, so I tidied up and went out. Emily felt especially relaxed, with nothing to do, had no choice but to go for a walk. Ethan, Lily, and Daniel are busy making money, while Emily is wandering around the streets. Where is our Sophia? I haven't seen her. The people upstairs seem to still be in bed. Oliver also seems to still be asleep. I'm not out for a walk just because I'm bored. It's because I need to go somewhere, but I have no money for a ride. I can only walk there. I went to the place where I used to dance. Coincidentally ran into Mrs. Smith, who taught me. She said, "Emily, long time no see. Haven't seen Mrs. Smith in a long time." "Mrs. Smith, have you been doing any part-time work lately?" Mrs. Smith seemed a bit surprised. She knows that I live comfortably with the Johnson family. No need to work at all. I pointed to the camera to tell her I was recording a show. I wanted to earn some pocket money. Mrs. Smith listened and arranged a class for me to teach basic knowledge to children. After the class, Mrs. Smith gave me 300 yuan. Then, I borrowed an empty classroom from her. I practiced dancing for a while. When I returned to the villa after practicing, Ethan was already home. He was busy in the kitchen. The dining table was filled with delicious dishes. When he saw me come back, he said, "You're back. Wash your hands and let's eat." Ethan had just placed the last dish on the table. He turned around and saw that I was back. I have to say, Ethan is impressive. He went to do simultaneous translation in the morning and earned over 1,000. This might be the difference between a businessman and us. Emily is also pretty good. She earned 300 for teaching a dance class. Lily and Daniel went to move bricks together. They earned a total of 300 yuan during mealtime. Ethan mentioned he earned over 1,000 in the morning. That's enough for our living expenses. I took out the 300 yuan and placed it in front of him. Then I told him I did part-time work at Mrs. Smith's. Ethan knows who Mrs. Smith is, because he used to accompany me there on weekends. 4 days passed in the blink of an eye. It was time to settle up. Ethan and I had 800 yuan left. Lily and Daniel had 300 yuan left, while Sophia and Oliver had not a single cent left. They spent all their money on the first day. For the next 3 days, they went to Oliver's friend's bar every day for their meals. It wasn't until the settlement that they realized the director's arrangement was for us to earn our own money. So this time for living expenses, Ethan and I received 1,000 yuan. Lily and the others received 800 yuan. Sophia and Oliver only received 600 yuan. This money needs to support us for the next 10 days. This time, the director made it clear, we are not allowed to seek help from others. Otherwise, the corresponding money will be confiscated and we will be punished. As the show progressed, many netizens started to like the pairing of Ethan and me. Meanwhile, the originally popular Sophia and Oliver gradually became overlooked until the last day of the show. The director arranged 3 locations for us to draw lots. They are actually meant for confession and determining relationships. Ethan and I drew the lot to go to the beach. We strolled leisurely by the seaside. What do you think? How is it? What do you think? I told him to think about it some more. Answering like this gave him hope. Ethan understood what I meant. He clearly seemed much happier. Emily and the others are talking about some riddles. I feel like we might have missed something. Otherwise, how could we not understand? I agree. Did someone turn off the microphone on the first day and say something? Does anyone know what they talked about on the first day, Lily? And Daniel publicly announced their relationship. Actually, everyone had already noticed they were dating. This genuine couple interaction is very popular among fans. I'm also very interested in them, supporting this couple up close. Since participating in the dating show, their fans have been waiting for my official announcement, but there has been no news. During an event interview, a reporter asked about this issue. I told the reporter, "I'll let everyone know when there's an update." Sophia couldn't hold back. She vaguely expressed her ambiguous relationship with Oliver on Weibo. Now, very few people are paying attention to this matter. Only her fans are still holding on. Suddenly, a trending topic online claimed Emily is the third party. Sophia suddenly tagged me on Weibo. She also posted a picture of Oliver appearing at my door at that time. Aunt Emma quickly called me, she said. Sophia is really too inconsiderate. It's clearly her fault, and yet she turns around to blame you. Next, another person claiming to be my mother has appeared online. She says I don't recognize her to climb up the social ladder, now that she's older. I also don't give her any support money. She even posted childhood photos of me, trying to make everyone believe she is my mother. Oliver's friend retweeted this post on Weibo. He only sent a single although it seems he didn't say much. But the has already been interpreted by netizens as him knowing some inside information. Now they are mocking me. At that moment, Oliver sent a text from an unknown number. "Emily, you should soften your stance. I can help you deal with the online situation. Ethan is not someone you can rely on. He's just playing with you." Did Oliver misunderstand something? I am already quite familiar with Ethan, but he thinks we just met on that dating show. Ethan called me. As soon as the call connected, he told me, the person online who claims to be my mother is indeed the mother who disappeared after my father passed away. Ethan is worried that I might be affected by this. He has been comforting me. "Don't worry, I will handle these matters well." I hung up the phone. I opened Weibo. I saw a lot of people criticizing online. I didn't pay much attention. I directly posted 2 photos. One was taken when Oliver and I just started dating. The photo also shows the time. The other is a picture of Oliver kissing Sophia. I also uploaded the recording that Sophia had sent to my email before. It contains some unflattering remarks made by Oliver's friends. Sophia is indeed a bit confused. She immediately retracted the recording after sending it. She thought I would just listen to it and wouldn't save it. Now I have made the recording public. Those who called me a mistress before immediately ran to her Weibo to criticize her. After I posted on Weibo, the official Weibo of Johnson Group also released a statement. Emily grew up in the Johnson family. Living conditions are favorable. There is never a lack of material wealth. Her father was a martyr. After his death, her biological mother, Mrs. Zhang, abandoned her and left. Later, the company's official Weibo account released another message. Emily has shares in our company. She doesn't need to rely on others to gain wealth. Wow, this clarification is really straightforward. At that time, Emily was with Oliver. She must have genuinely liked him. Indeed. Otherwise, why wouldn't she choose Ethan instead? She chose Oliver, who is not as good as him. Oliver and his friend's behavior is uncomfortable. Yeah, it's really unbearable. Treating Emily like a toy. It's really speechless. Was Emily too emotionally invested before? Otherwise, how could she have been with Oliver for so long and still not make their relationship public? Oliver called. As soon as he opened his mouth, he asked me to give him another chance. "Oliver, do you really like me? Actually, you just think I quit halfway. Cut your losses in time. It just makes you uncomfortable." Oliver is still justifying himself. He said it was because Sophia saved his life. That's why he acted that way at the time. Did she make you kiss her? Did she make you say those things? My questioning left Oliver momentarily speechless. Before hanging up the phone, I told him directly. He recognized the wrong person. I continued. "Oliver, the rose you mocked was actually used to cover the scar when I saved you. If it weren't for that time I got cut by glass, your back might have no marks at all." Sophia already knew I was the one who saved Oliver before she went abroad. Once I got drunk and accidentally let it slip. Because of this reason, she sent me that recording to listen to. Who would have thought it would now become evidence that ruins her? Grandpa learned about the situation online. He asked me to return to the old house. After I got home, I found Uncle Johnson, Aunt Sarah, and Uncle Michael were all there. Aunt Johnson came over and hugged me. She asked with concern, "Emily, are you okay?" I understood that Aunt Johnson was talking about what my mom posted online. During these years with the Johnson family, I had been asking Grandpa to help me find out my mom's whereabouts. The Johnson family knew that I really wanted to find my mom, but I didn't expect her to appear in this way. I told Aunt Johnson, "I'm fine." Grandpa stood up. He gestured for me to follow him to the study. In the study, Grandpa handed me a document. After I looked at the document, I finally understood why my mom would make such comments about me on Weibo, because Mrs. Zhang is now Oliver's stepmother. No wonder Oliver messaged me to soften my stance towards him. He helped me solve the problem. Grandpa said, "Emily, it was my grandfather's oversight. Grandpa thought Mrs. Zhang had already left New York, so he never checked in New York. Grandpa, it's okay, even if we find her. She is already someone else's mother. So many years have passed. If she really wanted to recognize me, she would have come to find me long ago. She must know my situation. She just hasn't taken action." Grandpa saw the tears shining in my eyes. He sighed, gently patted my shoulder and said, "If you want to cry, just let it out." Maybe Grandpa's words touched me, or maybe it was something else. I finally couldn't hold back my tears. When I was 7 years old, a drug dealer kidnapped me to lure my dad out. Dad rushed to save us, but he was shot and killed by the drug dealer. The drug dealer who kidnapped Oliver and me escaped, but the warehouse was rigged with a timer. We desperately escaped, just ran out of the warehouse. Then it exploded. At the time of the explosion, a shard of glass flew towards Oliver. I quickly shielded him with my back. After I was hospitalized, Grandpa Johnson came until I was discharged. Mom never showed up. We couldn't reach her either. Grandpa Johnson was friends with my grandfather. Now both grandparents have passed away. Dad is gone too. Mom has gone missing again. Grandpa Johnson was worried about retaliation from drug dealers, so he brought me back to the Johnson family. He even had me change my last name to Johnson. Uncle Johnson and Aunt Johnson are very busy with work, so they left Ethan at the old house. After I turned 7, I went to school and came home with Ethan. He is like my nominal older brother. He is also my childhood companion. After graduating from college, I entered the entertainment industry and encountered Oliver again. It might be because I always remember the difficult times we went through together. That's why I fell for him. I never realized Ethan liked me until he participated in this dating show. That's when I found out. I cried for quite a while before I stopped. After wiping my tears, I walked out of the study with my grandfather. I didn't expect that as soon as I opened the door, I would see Ethan standing outside. He looked at me and said, "What's wrong? Your eyes are all red from crying." "How did you know I was crying? Your nose is very red. It's obvious you've been crying." He took my hand and said to my grandfather, "Grandpa, I'm taking Emily out for a bit." Ethan drove me to the seaside. It was the last day of the dating show. I had casually mentioned wanting to come to the seaside to clear my mind when I was feeling down. I didn't expect he remembered it. After we both calmed down, we drove back. We arrived at the old house's entrance. I called out to him when Ethan turned around. I gave him a kiss. He was taken aback. "Emily, what does this mean now, you guess?" I hurriedly ran into the old house, but Ethan is tall. I couldn't outrun him at all. After he caught up to me, he first grabbed my hand. Then he changed to holding my fingers interlocked. Only Grandpa was left in the old house. He saw us and joked, "Oh, you went out for a bit, and got the two of you together." I shook off Ethan's hand and ran back to the room, feeling a bit shy from Grandpa's teasing in the room. Aunt Emma and I discussed. We decided to make our relationship public. The company actually won't interfere, because this company was specifically established by Ethan after hearing that I was going to enter the entertainment industry. Aunt Emma agreed. I immediately sent a message done, but there were no wedding candies. After I sent that message, it quickly trended. Emily and Ethan officially announced it. The Johnson Group also posted an update. The content was, "Congratulations to the boss and boss lady Emily for being together." Only then did I realize that the company Emily signed with is Ethan's. This was clearly planned by Ethan long ago. Even the company she signed with is his own. I had long suspected they would end up together. The person upstairs is right. Ethan's gaze at Emily on the show was clearly different. It's impossible to say he doesn't like her. I think Ethan should be quite happy that Oliver didn't notice Emily. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the chance to get close to her. Add 1. At this moment, Sophia started to express her opinion again. Sophia posted saying, "Do you still like the idea of a wealthy family's child bride?" She thought the netizens would support her. Unexpectedly, everyone dug up what she had said on a dating show. At that time, she mocked me. She thought that a man shouldn't cook in the kitchen. Netizens responded one after another. "Yeah, we just like it this way. It's much better than your theory that men shouldn't enter the kitchen. You always think of the worst." She thinks of herself as a rich family's child bride. "This is much better than your outdated views from last century." She got anxious. She can't stand that Emily is doing well. She wants to use this to make us criticize Emily. Under the Weibo post that Sophia made, the comment section was filled with voices criticizing her. Later, she deleted that Weibo post. Coincidentally, after she targeted me last time, Grandpa sent someone to keep an eye on her. This time, the content she posted was also known to Grandpa. Grandpa decided to blacklist Sophia and announced in the industry that he would not cooperate with any company working with the Smith family. Once this was spread, those who originally planned to cooperate with the Smith family or were already cooperating all chose to withdraw. Not long after, the Smith family announced bankruptcy. In fact, the Smith family was already on the verge of collapse. Now, with Sophia causing such a scene, they have completely lost the chance to turn things around. The Smith family now hates Sophia to the core. Since Oliver found out that Sophia was not the one who saved him back then, he has not paid any attention to her since. The Smith family feels hopeless now. They plan to marry Sophia off to an older man. This matter has already spread in the circle. I stopped caring about Sophia's affairs because the dating reality show has officially aired. The production team added pink effects in some scenes. They made some segments feel very ambiguous. My interactions with Ethan actually feel more like siblings, but it was edited to create an ambiguous atmosphere. It was also accompanied by background music. Lily and Daniel's situation is the same. Now their CP fans are increasing. Not long after, Aunt Emma got me a role in a play about a stand-in. Ethan started shuttling back and forth between the old house company and the crew, just starting out. Only some fans occasionally run into us. They take photos and post them in the fan community. Later, it gradually evolved into a time when fans enjoyed watching me film every day. You come here too often. Fans can now see new content about us every day. I'm here to see if my girlfriend has any issues. Those fans who follow us are very rational. Only occasionally does someone take some photos and send them out, just to make everyone happy. The man who used to hate taking photos now actually says such things. This state continued until the filming ended. After filming, I took a break for a while. When I wasn't taking on new roles, fans are urging me to hurry up and take on new roles because they have no new content to watch. I posted an update. "Do you want him to get worn out?" and added a face with a crying, laughing expression. Someone replied, "Ha ha ha. Yeah, it's okay. It's not Emily who's tired, it's Ethan." Ethan is truly a master of time management. He is passionate about his work. He never feels tired. Everyone in the comments is making jokes about Ethan. Netizens today are particularly good at noticing sweet details. They've even created a lot of fan fiction about Ethan and me. I stumbled upon it while browsing a forum once. I just glanced at it. I have to say, it was actually quite well written. The engagement day is coming soon. But on that day, an accident happened. I was once again captured by the drug dealer who had kidnapped me before. He sneered and said, "Long time no see, little girl." The man with the scar on his face waved at me. He said, "Who told you to kidnap me, Why couldn't it be that we wanted to kidnap you ourselves? If you wanted to kidnap me, you could have done it months ago. Why wait until now? You are really smart. But there's no reward. Who else wants to come? You'll know when he arrives." The man with the scar on his face patted my shoulder. He whispered something about the cycle of cause and effect in my ear, and then he left. Not long after, I saw Oliver walk into the warehouse. I don't know if it's intuition. I feel like he looks very dangerous now. He asked me, "Did they tie you up?" Oliver pulled up a chair and sat in front of me. He asked me, "Did you make them tie me up?" Oliver didn't say a word. He just raised an eyebrow. I knew he was tacitly agreeing, but he looks completely different now than before. Maybe I never really understood him. Emily, we were meant to be together. After all, we went through life and death together back then. Oliver, I once gave up liking Ethan because of you, but you're not worth me doing that. He stood up and pulled me up, put his hand on my waist. He said, "The rose on your waist represents our beginning. Isn't this a symbol that stirs your emotions?" After hearing this, Oliver finally understood why I wanted to break up with him. He suddenly laughed. So the breakup was because of this. Oliver's expression turned fierce. He took away the ring that Ethan had put on when he proposed to me. He only said that we would be together for a lifetime and then left. Oliver had just left. The man with the scar on his face came in again. He clapped his hands a few times, then asked me, "Don't you find it strange now?" Strange? It's strange why my mom is with Oliver's dad. Or it's strange that Oliver called you all to catch me. The scar-faced man smiled. He told me everything. It turns out, Oliver's father is the drug dealer my dad was investigating back then. My mom betrayed my dad a long time ago for money, about the kidnapping back then. It was all done by people in their organization. At that time, Oliver's actions were actually to help the Smith family avoid suspicion. During the time I was held in solitary confinement, he was living quite comfortably outside. It was like a vacation for him. After they killed my dad, they originally wanted to blow me up too, but Oliver insisted on not separating from me. After we left the warehouse, that's when they detonated it. After that, the Smith family hired someone to hypnotize Oliver, to make him forget what I looked like. He only remembered that the kidnapping was real. They also found a suitable match, Sophia, and told Oliver that she was the one who would save him. No wonder that man with the scar on his face mentioned karma in my ear before. Actually, my dad wouldn't have died. It was I who told him there was still someone inside who was tied up. He did it to save Oliver. He was shot dead by them. Why did you tell me all this? He should be considered your boss now, right? This time, kidnapping you is just for revenge against them. Years ago, my own brother was pushed out as a scapegoat. I originally thought that after that incident, we could wash our hands of it and live a peaceful life. But I never expected. Mr. Smith never intended for my brother to live. He wanted everyone to believe my brother was the boss of the organization, only with my brother dead. Would the police stop their investigation? I always thought the murderer of my father was far away from me. I didn't expect he was right beside me. During the 3 years with Oliver, I actually met him. Looking back now, the scar on my waist makes me feel particularly regretful. It constantly reminds me that I indirectly caused my father's death in order to save the drug dealer's son. We already knew there was a tracker on your ring. Otherwise, how could Oliver have taken it? But don't worry, Ethan and the police will be here soon. The Smith family is also doomed. The scar-faced man is right. Ethan and the police really came over. At that moment, Oliver was trying to force me to have relations with him. He was taking off my clothes. A bullet hit his shoulder. The police rushed over and pinned him down. Oliver, now handcuffed, suddenly burst into laughter. "Ethan, what does it matter if you got Emily? That rose tattoo on her waist was inked for me. He believes, as long as that rose remains, I will always remember him. Oliver, as you wish, I will remember you. Remember that you are the son of my father's murderer." Oliver's smile suddenly froze. He stared at the scar-faced man being held by the police. He clenched his fists. I walked up to him. I whispered in his ear, "Even if the rose remains, I won't think of you either, because it was Ethan who accompanied me to get the tattoo. The rose covers the scar I got from the glass when I saved you." Seeing Oliver's face full of disbelief, I knew he understood what I meant. The scar is a mark he left behind. But now the tattooed rose has covered that scar. What everyone sees is just that tattooed rose. This statement drove Oliver completely out of control, because he realized he had no way out. There was only one way left. A dead end. He originally wanted the rose to make me remember him, but unexpectedly, this rose became his end. During the 3 years we were together, I actually never truly understood him. He is just like his father, engaged in drug trafficking, surviving in the gray area. His methods are extremely crazy. According to the man with the scar on his face, Oliver got her from the old man who married Sophia. He tormented her for a long time, until she had a mental breakdown. In the end, she was locked up in a mental hospital. Because of that man with the scar on his face, the Smith family completely collapsed overnight. Almost everyone in the Smith family ended up in prison, including my mother. She requested to see me. I thought she wanted to apologize, but unexpectedly, she asked me to find a way to get her out. "Emily, I am your mother. If you don't get me out, you are unfilial. I scoffed. Mrs. Zhang, ever since you sold out my dad for a better life, you are no longer my mother. I thought you called me here to apologize, but I didn't expect you to still be so stubborn. After saying that, I turned and left. No matter how much she yelled inside the room, Ethan, who was waiting for me at the door, walked up to me. He asked me, "What did Mrs. Zhang say?" Ethan gently patted my back and took me back to the car. He comforted me for a while. After my emotions calmed down a bit, we finally drove away, back to the Johnson family. I saw Grandpa sitting in the living room. He looked very anxious. I said, "Grandpa, we are back." Grandpa walked up to me with his cane. He gently patted my shoulder. He kept saying, "It's good to be back. It's good to be back." The date for the engagement banquet needs to be rescheduled. Not long after, Ethan and I went to get our marriage certificate. He was so happy that he organized a lottery event online. As a result, it trended again. When Ethan was trending, I happened to be attending an event. Lily was sitting next to me. She quietly scrolled through Weibo. Then she said, "Ethan is being too high profile. That's just how he is. What about you and Daniel? We're not as fast as you guys. It might take another year. That's still pretty quick. During the wedding preparations, my life is still quite relaxed, except for taking some endorsement offers and trying on the custom wedding dress to see if it fits. All the other wedding arrangements are handled by Ethan." After the wedding, I asked Aunt Emma to take fewer jobs for me. I'll only film one movie a year. Occasionally, I'll be a guest on variety shows. Usually, I interact with fans on Weibo. From time to time, I post some daily life moments with Ethan. Ethan took advantage of his cousin Michael when traveling with me. He just leaves the company to Michael to manage. Grandpa also supports this decision. This has made Michael more resentful towards Ethan. Michael said to me, "Sister-in-law, please, take my brother on fewer trips." Ethan gently patted Michael's head. "Speak. Don't just rely on me. I can teach you, but you need to help each other. You all are studying business, yet you do nothing all day. This won't do." The 3 years I spent with Oliver, Ethan was like a workaholic. As a result, many people in the Johnson family didn't take their work seriously. Now he has become lazy. Let others help manage the Johnson group. On the road to travel again, we learned that I was over a month pregnant. When Grandpa found out, he immediately had us go home. After returning home, Grandpa scolded Ethan. He said he wasn't careful enough. Michael was particularly happy. He thought I was pregnant. Ethan wouldn't be able to take me out for at least a year. Unexpectedly, Ethan directly asked Grandpa for paternity leave. Grandpa agreed, but he was very angry. 8 months later, I gave birth to a daughter. The full name is Evelyn. The nickname is Mia. Since then, Ethan became a devoted father. Aunt Johnson, Uncle Johnson, and Grandpa also revolve around Mia every day. When I go out to film, Ethan occasionally takes Mia to the company. Employees of Johnson Group often see them. One moment he is sternly listening to their work reports. The next moment he is smiling and playing with his daughter. The end.